One of the biggest wide receiver dominoes just fell with Jaylen Waddle now becoming a Denver Bronco. Bo Nix is wide receiver one alongside Cortland Sutton. The Miami Dolphins, on the other hand, they're going to be running a wing T offense. It looks like Bryce. They have no wide receivers left. What are your thoughts on the overall move? It is a first rounder, third rounder, and a fourth rounder heading to Miami. Denver gets Jaylen Waddle and a fourth rounder this year as well.
Yeah, so I mean, if you look at it like from an overall perspective, you could kind of say it was a slight overpay, but I understand why it was done. You're saying that pick 30, which is yeah, it's a first rounder, but it's pretty much almost a second rounder at that point. And if they didn't have a guy they absolutely love, like I know they're probably targeting Sadiq, probably realize they can't get him there. It's like we need to go get a playmaker. Like this pick isn't gonna be a game changer for us when we were just an injury away from the Super Bowl. So I think from their perspective, uh, could it be a slight overplay? Yeah, I wouldn't call you crazy if you said that, but I also think it was a much needed move. I think they lacked that wide receiver two spot, and I think they got one of the best wide receiver twos in football. To kind of complete one of the best duos in football now for a team that is really complete as a whole and has the tools to make that run again. So from the Broncos side, could say it was a slight overpay, but I think it was a job well done and got a need that pretty much had to happen.
Yeah, the Broncos are sitting at an interesting point this offseason. No real offseason moves. They retained a lot of their players. They let some guys walk. Cap space wise, they're pretty strapped right now in what they can and can't do with their current contract situation. Obviously, that's kind of the ripple effects of that Russell Wilson dead money over the past few seasons, and they retained a lot of their players in their core. And now they're sitting here in Bo Nix's year three. They're probably going to extend him next offseason. How can we make this window as good as possible? And it kind of reminds me of what the Saints did with Drew Brees and Sean Payton back in the day. Is they wound up just paying everybody they possibly could, and we saw the Saints not necessarily be able to make any moves the past few years because of that, but they are going all in when they feel like they have a championship window, and that's what this feels like for Denver right now. Who knows what would have happened if Bo Nix was healthy in that AFC championship game? They clearly had one of the best three defenses in football last season, and it helped them win all these games and these one score games. And with Denver not making any moves, I was sitting here like, wow, this team really could be on the verge of missing the playoffs this year because they're the same exact team. They're due for regression just based on their overall results from last season. And Bo Nix was incredibly inconsistent. The wide receiver room still mid. Now they go add Jaylen Waddle. That makes it a little bit more intriguing for me. Sure, I'm not sure. I'm not really sure what to expect from Waddle. I think he's a top, definitely a top 24 guy in football for sure, but I don't think he's necessarily that guy that's going to absolutely game wreck somebody. I think him and Cortland Sutton, like you mentioned, Bryce, solid pairing, and it opens up this offense a lot for Denver. But the price is steep here. Like the Dolphins, while we look at the wide receiver room, we laugh a little bit right now with Tutu Atwell as the wide receiver one. They have a boatload of picks, and I know the Malik Willis thing's a little bit of an experiment in a way, and this feels like a multi-year rebuild for the Dolphins. All those picks are intriguing for me overall.
Yeah, I'll kind of hand off that couple things. First thing is, yeah, 7 picks in the top 100. If you're rebuilding, that's the way to go. I really think them and the Jets are probably in the two biggest rebuilds right now in the same division. But it's well needed, kind of the position you're in. Leading into that next one, it was kind of funny how at the combine I asked Sully, the new GM, I said, is there any player that's untouchable? Like the Dolphins have not been afraid to let guys go, and he said straight up, no player is untouchable for the right price. Well, there's Jaylen Waddle right there. You got the right price for him, and one of the best players on the whole team, probably second best player on the whole team, is just gone. So even more true, even with a new guy under center. But I guess the last thing I'll say with this too is like Malik Willis, like you're setting him up for not even failure, like complete failure. Like I'm
Yeah.
I'm
Yep.
was liking the move and I was like, not a great offense, but I'm excited to see what he can do. And now Malik Washington, Jalen Tolbert, Tutu Atwell. Yeah, they're probably gonna draft a guy, but this is these are wide receiver threes trying to be wide receiver ones. It's not even a remote like I don't know. I feel bad for A Chain. I feel bad for Malik. They got put in a tough spot, but yeah, man.
See, the interesting part about Miami too is like they have that pick 11, and where they're sitting. Sure, you could go Jordan Tyson, Makai Lemon. I don't think Carnell Tate falls to them there, right? You could go replace Waddle with a younger, cheaper talent at that position and, add another picks, but that feels just stupid. It feels like with where this roster is currently going, like their defense has a lot of pieces they need to rebuild. They need to add edge rushers, they need corners. Like they need a lot on this roster, and it doesn't feel like 11's just going to be a wide receiver for the Dolphins at this point. It almost feels like best available, figure it out from there. And, they could be in the market for some of these wide receivers available still in the free agent market that are veterans and could plug and play for one season. And then at the back half of the first round, maybe that's when they target a wide receiver or another position because I really do feel like if they get fixated on, oh, we had to replace Jaylen Waddle, then what was the point of this trade? You could have kept your wide receiver one. It wasn't like the Dolphins, who I know they're eating dead money from Tua over the next two seasons. They're trying to build up a talented roster around like Malik Willis, and you trade away your wide receiver core and you draft a guy right away. It just seems stupid. Like this is going to be a rough year for Malik Willis in the offense. They're going to have to understand that, and they're not going to have to sway away from their long term plan because I really do feel like if they go wide receiver, it'll be a massive failure. Build up that defense, add a few complementary pieces on the offense to where they don't have to run a wing T offense with him and Devon A Chain, and maybe you'll be successful. My question though, Bryce, Denver, does this really move the needle for you that much, or is it just kind of like it's a nice addition, but are they just still kind of a frisky team to potentially miss the playoffs next year?
So on the last show we were talking, and I said miss the playoffs. I'm gonna take that back. I don't think they're gonna replicate the season they have, but miss the playoffs seems kind of crazy at this point. But the reality is, team's good, but the division's even better, and we all know what the Chiefs are about. Yeah, they're coming off a down year, but it's still the Chiefs with a great coach, a great quarterback, got an elite running back now. It's still the Chiefs and the Chargers. I like what the Chargers did or are doing. People forget how good the Chargers were before they got killed with injuries. So I think I think they're in a similar spot like Seattle going to the other side. It's like the team's good, but can you replicate the season you just had when the teams in your division are just as good, maybe even better, you can argue. And I think that's the big question there. And kind of going back to what you were saying with like the picks and the team, I don't know for the Dolphins if I remember a team that's outside the top 10 that has needs as big as the Dolphins do. Like usually I feel like these type of teams are in the top 3 and you're like, "All right, you're going to get a game changer and
Yeah.
like you'll work from there." Like they're outside the top 10. Like this is kind of crazy that it all played down, but um yeah, I guess I would say where I'd say I'm at and kind of lead into that too is I posted on Twitter. I was like, Dolphins 5.5 win total. Where is that one? Where are those 6 wins coming from? But
Under slamming the
under.
under there.
But yeah, I'm kind of just rambling right now. But like you said with the Broncos, I don't know if I would say they missed the playoffs at this point, but division's tough and they can easily finish third. Like no doubt in my mind can finish third, and that's probably missing the playoffs in most years.
Yeah, see, here's my gripe with Denver is their defense was so good the last 3 seasons overall, and it's a lot of the same players. It's very hard to replicate defensive consistency at that level in the NFL over that stretch. So I'm a little bit concerned. Like we saw some of these holes on the Denver Broncos defense start to show towards the end of the season. So I think this defense, while I love Nick Benito, Pat Surtain, great corner, right? They have a lot of good pieces on this defense. They're not replicating or adding any young guys, really. They have a second rounder. They don't have a third rounder. They don't have a first rounder. The defense we saw from Denver last year and the year before is the exact one we're seeing this year. And that makes me concerned. There's no new life. It's the same unit. They're going to run the same exact scheme. Offenses are eventually going to catch up. Some players are going to regress. There's going to be injuries here or there. So defensively, I don't know what I'm going to get from Denver. Offensively, they had the best offensive line in football last year. While that unit I expect to be right at the top 5 once again, the biggest question mark to their success next season is Bo Nix. Can Bo Nix be more consistent with better wide receivers at the helm? And, that's still a question mark for me. I mean, he had guys open. Like, guys were just running wide open last year, and he's throwing behind them, missing easy routine throws, and then he makes a crazy throw to win a one-score game. They lived on the edge too much last year. If I had to tell you right now, I think the Broncos have the best roster in the AFC West heading into the next season, but I would not be surprised if they're third in the division next year, just based on a little bit of regression overall. And, Bo Nix not necessarily taking that next step. If Bo Nix decides to take another step, it's going to be massive for Denver heading into next year.